locker room with all the sports news you need. Live.
Good afternoon. You weren't expecting me, were you? No, this is a bit of an impromptu locker room show. My name is Graham D, and I'm going to be here from 6 until 7 tonight. The reason for this is that tomorrow we obviously have the first final of the season in the Viaplay Cup final between Celtic and Rangers. We're doing basically a full show tomorrow. Well, we're going to be doing 5 till 6 tomorrow to cover the Viaplay Cup final. And I didn't want the games this afternoon to go unnoticed and really to go without anything. So I thought, do you know what? Let's do a show this afternoon so we can cover the games that were played this afternoon. Now, before I actually get into the games that were played this afternoon, I'll give the full-time scores from those games. In the Premiership, it finished Aberdeen 1, Livingston 0, Kilmarnock 1, Motherwell 1, Ross County 4, Dundee United 0, and St Johnstone 1, St Mirren 1. In the Championship, it was Arbroath 0, Partick Thistle 0, Dundee 1, Inverness 1, Greenock Morton 2, Cove Rangers 1, Hamilton Academical 1, Queen's Park 4. In League 1, it was Airdronians 1, Falkirk 3, Alloa Athletic 1, Montrose 0, FC Edinburgh 3, Clyde 0, Peterhead 1, Kelty Hearts 1, Queen of the South 0, Dunfermline 2, and in League 2 it finished Albion Rovers 0, Annan Athletic 2, Bonnyrigg Rose 0, Stenhousemuir 1, Dumbarton 1, Elgin City 2, Forfar Athletic 0, Stirling Albion 0, and Stranraer 2, East Fife 0. So that's all the scores this afternoon. I am going to be pretty much concentrating for the next hour. Well, if I get a chance, I might do a bit more as well. But for the next hour, I'll be concentrating on the Premiership games this afternoon. As I say, I am on my own tonight because this was rather impromptu, because I didn't want the games today to go unnoticed because of the big game tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in Dingwall, because it was a big game today. And anyone that would have watched the show yesterday would have known that we had Paul Mitchell on. And Paul Mitchell was doing this game. He was covering this game between Ross County and United, which is a big game for both teams, really. Down the bottom of the league, United really struggling, sitting on 20 points. And today, they were destroyed by Ross County. They were beaten by 4-0, and it could have been a lot more. It could have been 8 or 9. And as one of my colleagues in the group chats put, United couldn't have complained. A double from Eamon Brophy, a goal from Jan Danda, and a goal from Jordan White, who ironically, Paul Mitchell spoke about yesterday, said Jordan White has to score more. Well, he did today. But United were 2-0 down after 40 minutes, and the first goal is horrendous. Now, there was a lot of talk before the game about what would United do in terms of the goalkeeper. Would they play Mark Birighitti, who has made a few high-profile mistakes, none more so than the game last week against St Johnstone? He didn't keep his place. And Dave, our colleague, had said yesterday that he would have played Jack Newman in goal. Well, he got his wish. But unfortunately for Jack Newman, the first goal is an absolute nightmare. Not just for him, but it's just a long ball played down on the left-hand side. Now, I don't know why Jack Newman comes out. I don't know why he comes out, but he has a rush of the ball to the head. He runs out. He's nowhere near it. And then there's a complete calamity, if you want to call it, between the goalkeeper, between Mulgrew, and between Ryan Edwards. So the ball's played through. Brophy's running onto it. Edwards comes out. The goalkeeper comes out, nowhere near it. Mulgrew tries to clear the ball, hits it off Ryan Edwards. The ball breaks to Eamon Brophy. And to try and kind of make up for it, Mulgrew slides in, and it's an empty net. And as Brophy takes the shot, it comes off Mulgrew and into the back of the net. Just an absolute comedy of errors all round. And it kind of sums up United just now. Now, I did say a while ago that when United played against Hearts at Tynecastle, I thought United played all right in that game and didn't deserve to lose the game 3-1. But defensively, they were very poor. Now, again, they go 2-0 down. A goal from Jan Danda. Again, Ross County were... I mean, I'm going to talk about United very shortly, but I want to talk on Ross County because Ross County were very good in this game. They were helped by the fact that United were very poor defensively. United have now lost 49 goals this season, which is an absolute disaster for them. They just look so poor defensively. And the fact that they don't seem to have a first-choice goalkeeper as well is a real worry. A while ago, before he signed for Hearts, they had the chance to sign Xander Clark. Xander Clark was sitting there in his house, having no club. They could have signed him, and they didn't. And now they're regretting that decision because Mark Birighitti is not good enough for me. Jack Newman, he's a young goalkeeper. He didn't have a great game today. I hope that doesn't affect his confidence, but I have a feeling that the first goal might, because it was so poor. But United just looks so poor just now. But I will get onto that very shortly because I want to raise a few points that I've seen. Now, as it stands at the moment, it's 6:05. There's been nothing at the moment about Liam Fox losing his job at United. If anything comes out, I will try and keep you informed. But at the moment, Liam Fox is still United manager. For how long, we don't know. But in terms of Ross County and Malky Mackay, this is a big win for them. You know, they were very good. They now have picked up 7 points out of the last 9 at home. They're very strong at home, as a lot of teams do find when they go to Dingwall. It's a very hard place to go. And the one thing they had to sort in January, the one thing they had to sort last season was the lack of goals in the team. They've kind of sorted that out now because they brought in Simon Murray, who came off the bench and looked decent. They've obviously got Eamon Brophy, who today scored twice and had 2 assists. Jordan White, who he's a good player, Jordan White, but I think Paul Mitchell was right when he says he has to score more. He's a physical presence. He's not the quickest, but he's a physical presence, and he should probably do more. And today he's got his goal. And Ross County were good value for that. They were the far better side, and had they scored more, United could not have complained. But the big thing for now for Ross County is when you get a result like that, you've got to build on it. Now, next week, I'm looking at the fixtures. They play Motherwell at home. That's the game I think they'd be looking to try and win. Now, at the moment, Ross County are sitting third, bottom of the league. They are on 24 points. They're now 4 points ahead of United. I'm still not sure that Ross County will be safe. I think if they could perform like they did today, but it is difficult, if they could perform like they did today, they've got a chance because they were very good today. You know, they really took United apart. And I'm going to see if I can find some comments from Malky Mackay because, you know, doing this on your own, you're having to try and find everything. So I'm trying to find comments from Malky Mackay here. And I think before I came on air, he was actually talking. Let me see what I can find, what Malky Mackay said. Here we go. So Malky Mackay said, I'm delighted with the way we played and the confidence that will bring. It's an 8-goal swing on United and we could have had a few more goals. I've known Eamon Brophy since the Scotland under-21s and he knows where the goal is. He's a clever player too. You saw that with his link-up play. The group are fighting for each other, which I think everyone can see. And I think as a football supporter, myself, and a lot of other folk who watch the show are football fans as well, or you watch the show, I would hope. But the one thing you expect to see when you see your team on that park is fight. You know, that's the one thing that you should never be able to doubt is fight, passion, energy, desire. That's the least you expect. And I think Ross County have got that now. I said a while ago that they hadn't replaced the goals of Hungbo and also Reagan Charles Cook. I think now they have done that. Bringing Simon Murray in, as I've said previously, is a really good signing from Queen's Park. He's a very good striker. He was at Hibs. Maybe didn't have the desired effect to Hibs, but he is a very good goal scorer. He's proven. And I think if he gets on in the team, I think he'll score goals. He comes off the bench today as an effect. And Ross County today were very good. You know, they were just so much better in every department than Dundee United. And I think Eamon Brophy, for me, could be one of the signings of the season because he is a very good player. He's a very good striker. He runs all day. He's got really a lot of energy. And he scores goals. And that's what you want. When you're struggling at the bottom of the league, you want to try and bring goals into the team. And I think Malky Mackay's done that now. And I do like Malky Mackay. He's had a lot of criticism for what he's done in the past off the park. But I think in terms of management, I think Malky Mackay's a good manager. And I think he will, if he keeps Ross County up, it'll be a massive success for him. And there's no reason they can't. But as I say, they've got to build on that now. Because today was a really good performance, a home win, and a dominant display. And I think that game against Motherwell next Saturday is going to be a huge game because I'll get to Motherwell shortly. Motherwell dropped points today, but that is now 3 games in a row for Stuart Kettlewell that he's not lost. So Motherwell are going to go at that game of confidence as well. So next week could be a really big game down the bottom of that league. Motherwell, you know, again, they're a very up and down side, but I think that could be a really difficult game next week. But because they're at home, I fancy Ross County to win that. And the way they're playing just now, and they've got a guy in banging form just named Eamon Brophy. And this is, again, something else. I do wonder, you know, Eamon Brophy, is he a better player than Ross County? I think he probably could get into a team in the top 6, potentially at St Mirren. I know he was at St Mirren as well. Potentially in Aberdeen. Could he play at Aberdeen? I think there's a very good chance he could because he's a good player. So in terms of Eamon Brophy, I think he's looking very decent just now. He's looking like a real goal scorer, and he's looking a massive, massive threat. The other end of the scale, Dundee United. I mean, I'm just going to see the comments from Liam Fox after that. So he said, in any game of football, if you don't turn up, don't compete, don't run about, you'll run the risk of a result like that. Confidence is always an issue on runs like this. We never look like we were going to get ourselves back in the game. Everyone's hugely disappointed. We'll go away and have a think, look at ourselves, players, staff, everybody. We'll see who we are in the next couple of days. So that's what I've just spoke about there. If you don't have a team on the park that's going to fight for each other, that's going to run, that's going to fight, you've got problems. And Dundee United have got massive, massive problems. Their last league win was on the 2nd of January against St Johnstone. The last win in any competition was against Stirling University in the Scottish Cup. Now, that's a worry because United are not picking up points. And I did say earlier that against Hearts, particularly first half, I thought United played well. Stephen Fletcher really bullied Hearts that day. He was on top of us. He caused us problems. The sending off of Ryan Edwards didn't help. But even then, I thought United were still in the game. But now, the last couple of games, they just look so disjointed. Against St Johnstone last week, you know, the mistakes from Mark Birighitti, the 2 goals they lost were very, very poor. Birighitti was awful last week. And they bring Jack Newman in today, and you wonder how that's going to affect his confidence today because he is a young goalkeeper. You wonder how that's going to affect him today that he's conceded 4 goals. He's been at fault for certainly one of them. But also that United team, I think they've got good players there. That's the problem that I think they've got. They've got good players there. They've got experience in the likes of Charlie Mulgrew. But again, today, he was awful. He showed no leadership at all. Stephen Fletcher didn't really have a lot else he could do up front today. I'm going to look at that United team from today. Now, I don't know if United fans are watching this, but tell me what you think of this United team, because United today lined up Jack Newman in goal, Liam Smith, Ryan Edwards, Charlie Mulgrew, Aziz Behic, Craig Sibbald, Arnold Jim, Dylan Levitt, Jamie McGrath, Stephen Fletcher, and Kai Fotheringham. Now, I'm looking at that team and I'm thinking Liam Smith, experienced defender. Charlie Mulgrew, experienced defender. Aziz Behic was at the World Cup. Dylan Levitt, I like Dylan Levitt. He's a very, very good footballer, really composed ball player. Arnold Jim was at Hearts, was at the African Cup of Nations. Good player. Craig Sibbald, experienced. Jamie McGrath, again, he was a very good player at United. Has he hit the heights at United? St Mirren, sorry. Has he really hit the heights at United? Probably not. Stephen Fletcher, plenty of experience. Kai Fotheringham, again, decent experience there. That United team should be doing a lot better than this. And they look very, very poor. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the United AGM that happened this week. And I'm going to raise a couple of bullet points that I took from the Federation of United Supporters that I put on Twitter. Some of the points that were made by Mark Ogden, the owner, at that AGM. So he said, and this is before today, there are no plans to make changes to the manager or sporting director positions. Now, I think it was Dave mentioned on Friday that he didn't think that Liam Fox was a great appointment. I kind of agree with that. He was lacking experience, and for a team that had been beaten 9-0 from Celtic, Jack Ross was sacked. I think they needed somebody better than that. They needed more experience in there. They didn't get that. They got Liam Fox. Liam Fox is a good coach, but I think I've said this before on the show as well. Being a good player doesn't make you a good manager. Liam Fox is a decent player, but clearly management maybe isn't for him. And I also think you find that, and I found this at Hearts as well, when Ian Cathro took the Hearts job, I always think you're better starting at a lower league and then working your way up. Getting an appointment like Dundee United, I thought was maybe the wrong move for United, and it's proven. Tony Ashgard, the sporting director, again, I don't know what he does at that club. The signings that he's made, you know, they've not been particularly great. They didn't really bring anyone else in January apart from the young laddie Anewa, who obviously was sent off a couple of weeks ago. They just don't look like they've got anything off the park for me, a structure off the park. Some of the other things he said as well. Now remember, as I've said earlier, this is from Mark Ogden, the owner of United. I find it hard to believe in all your years following United, you have never been so disheartened as you are now. I have confidence in the players and the manager. Now, They've just been beaten 4-0 by Ross County. In fact, not been beaten, they've been hammered by Ross County. And you've got confidence in the player and the management. I don't think, if I'm a United fan, I've got confidence in anything at that club just now, on or off the park. And I heard today before I came on air as well that after the game today, the United bus was surrounded by United fans who were furious, and rightly so. United took 1,000 fans to that game today. You know, that is a really good support, a really good fan base there, and they've been let down. And the one thing that Liam Fox talked about was running. Surely, if you're a football player, that's the one thing you should be doing is running. And if they're not showing that, then there's major, major problems there all through that squad and all through that team. I listened to Liam Fox's interview after the game today, and he sounded a broken man. You know, he used the word today unacceptable, and it clearly was. But he sounded like he was beaten. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if during the week, even if not tonight, if Liam Fox is basically told he's gone. But then who do you bring in? Because United are rudderless. From the top right through, they're rudderless. It's a bit like the same at Aberdeen. Well, Aberdeen got a decent result today, but it's rudderless. They don't have anything for me off the park that, for me, resembles leadership. And when you've got your owner coming and say stuff like that, I think that's really poor. And if I'm a United fan, I'd be furious. Other things that Mark Ogden said in his AGM, and this is where I find it really baffling. We're in a better position than we were 5 years ago. We're in the top league now, and we weren't 5 years ago. Really? Is that what you've got to say when you're bottom of the league and you look like you're going down? You're in a better position than you were 5 years ago? Well, they're not going to be in the top league much longer the way things are going because they don't look like they're going to win games. And if you can't win games, you're going to go down. And I think, for me, United, again, look like they don't have any leadership from top to bottom. And I feel sorry for Liam Fox because he comes across as quite a decent guy. He comes across as genuine and the fact he loves United. But if you're not getting the best out of that team, and if you're not getting the best out of that squad, then you're pretty much done as a manager. And I don't think he'll walk away because I think he's probably the bigger man. I think he'll wait to get sacked. But on the back of today, on the back of that horrendous defeat, it wouldn't be surprised if he went home, looked himself in the mirror and said, you know what, can I really do this job anymore? It's a hard one. But I genuinely don't think United are a better place than they were 5 years ago because they look like they're going down. And one of the ones that really got me about what Mark Ogden said, I'm just trying to find it here. Let me see if I can find it. So, it was point number 6. This is Mark Ogden, and I will repeat this. Mark Ogden, the owner of Dundee United, said this, and I quote, "It will not be the end of the world if we get relegated because we will come straight back up." I mean, seriously, where do you get that from? You're bottom of the league at the moment, you look like you're going to go down, and you think that you're going to come straight back up. I'm sorry, but you've got major problems there because that championship, I've said this before, is a very hard league to get out of. Hearts have done it a couple of times, come straight back up. If you remember as well, it took Rangers 3 attempts, 3 to come up from the championship the last time they went down. And yet United think they're going to come straight back up. And if I'm Liam Fox, if I'm a United fan, if I'm a United player, and I'm hearing my owner say, do you know what, it doesn't matter if we go down, we'll come straight back up. I think that's embarrassing. I really, really do. If I'm a United fan, I'm furious with that. And I know a lot of United fans are. So I think United have major, major problems. And I can't believe the owner would come out and say that. That if they go, it doesn't matter if they go down because they'll come straight back up. How can you say that? How can you say that with a straight face and expect to be taken seriously? Because United look awful. They really do. That's a defeat against St Johnstone last week, a hammering today, and next week they play Aberdeen, which maybe won't be a bad thing because Aberdeen's away record is really poor, so maybe that might be a game that United can win. But they need to get reaction because today, as Liam Fox has said, was unacceptable. Dreadful performance, dreadful result, and just players that for me, and this is the worst thing, and I spoke about this earlier on, to me, the players look like they've down tools. Now, I don't think they've done it because they don't like Liam Fox. I think they've got respect for Fox, but I just think when that first goal went in today, I think they thought, oh, we've lost. And they chucked it. And that is never acceptable. Never acceptable. I think Mark Alden's got a massive job on his hands now. Try to see what else he said as well. So here we go. Another thing that he said as well. Here we go. Again, Mark Alden comment. I can't believe the doom and gloom around the club. The success we have had in my tenure has been down to Tony Ashworth's work and, in bold, he is my man. This ain't Boy George. This ain't I'm your man. I'm sorry. George Michael even. Whatever it was, I don't know. But he's clearly not your man because you're failing and you're failing miserably. You're bottom of the league. You're 4 points off Kilmarnock and Ross County. And you're coming out with statements like that. As I said, if I'm a United fan, I'm embarrassed tonight. And I think those United fans going back down the road tonight will be embarrassed. They've made that trip to County, which is a horrible place to go, even on a Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. And they've been destroyed by Ross County, who, again, I will say it, were excellent. But United have got serious issues. And I don't think, for me, I would particularly want Mark Alden at the club if he's coming out with stuff like that. I think he's talking utter nonsense, to be honest. And United are in a bad place just now. I'm just looking at Twitter here as well while I'm on this. And at the moment, yeah, from what I can see, there's been nothing about Liam Fox. At the moment, we are at 6:20. Liam Fox is still the manager of United, but today they were dreadful. As I say, they play United, they play Aberdeen next week. Difficult game. Aberdeen away record is awful, and the last time they went to Tannadice, they lost 4-0. So maybe if you're a United fan looking at this, you might be thinking, you know what, we've got a chance here. I don't know if they do, but I mean, honestly, it's going to be a massive, massive game next week, and I don't know where United go from here because at the moment they look rudderless, and I don't see where the next win's coming from. I'm just obviously, while I'm on here, I'm trying to look for a couple of the bits and pieces here that I'm trying to find. When you're doing this on your own, it's very difficult because I'm trying to check different things here. The latest score in the rugby as well, for anyone that's interested, it is Wales 10, England 15. Game that was earlier on today was Italy 20, Ireland 34. Tomorrow, obviously, Scotland play against France. I will get maybe to that later on, but such a difficult game for Scotland. But I did obviously speak to Paul Mitchell and Dave yesterday, and I have the feeling that Scotland can win tomorrow. I just have this massive feeling that Scotland can take something tomorrow. And if we win that with 2 home games to come against Ireland and Italy, I generally have this belief that Scotland can win the Six Nations. Now, I know we're playing the second best team in the world just now in France, who are 13 games unbeaten. But why can't we be positive? Why can't we think we can win this? And the way that Finn Russell's playing just now, the best number 10 in the world for me just now, there's no reason that Scotland couldn't win this. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow, the Scotland-France game. And I really, really hope that Scotland can do it. I've got my Scotland football top on, not my Scotland rugby shirt, because I've not got one. But, yeah, I mean, massive game tomorrow. But getting back to the football, let's go to Pittodrie, the Granite City, where Aberdeen beat Livingston by 1-0. Now, I watched this game earlier on, and I'm not going to lie, it wasn't a classic. Bojan Majowski scored the only goal after 43 minutes, his 17th goal of the season. For an Aberdeen side that's not been great this season, I think that's pretty impressive going, to be honest. 17 goals a season. And it was a good goal. Good ball from Ross McCurran into the box. It's one in the air. I think it's by Matty Pollock, I think, wins it in the air against Obolai, surprisingly, because Obolai is massive. Heads it down, and it's a really good finish from Majowski on the right foot. Really good finish, top corner. And from then on in, there wasn't a lot of quality in the game. I was surprised at how poor Livingston were. I don't think they offered a lot. I had said yesterday to Dave and to Paul, I thought that Nubley might cause a lot of problems. I thought Aberdeen defended him very well today. He didn't really have many, many chances. The manager's comments after the game, if I can find them. Oh, surprise, surprise, I can't. I had them up earlier on as well. No, I did have them up again, but I can't find them. But yeah, I mean, Aberdeen, I'm just going to look at the stats here. Aberdeen, 51% possession at 49. There wasn't a lot in it. Aberdeen, 12 shots to Livingston, 6. but there was only 3 shots on target. Aberdeen had 2, Livingston had 1, and even then, it was the second half that Livingston had that shot. It was a decent effort by Newbley, cleared off the line, but Livingston didn't really offer very much. Aberdeen, I thought, were probably the better side. They kept possession of it better. I thought they pressed a lot higher up the pitch. Graham Shinney was really good. I thought Duke, as always, full of energy. I thought he caused a lot of problems today. The thing with Duke, and I noticed that a couple of times today as well, he tends to hold on to the ball a bit too much rather than kind of get the ball in the box quickly. He does tend to kind of hold that a bit too much, but again, he's a very, very good player to watch. I thought Ramadani was decent. Leighton Clarkson in the middle of the park was okay, but there wasn't a lot of creativity. You know, I don't think Shamal George and the Livingston goal made a lot of saves, but then again, Gorski in the Aberdeen goal had virtually nothing to do. He was a spectator the whole game. But Barry Robson will be delighted with that because they were obviously hammered by Celtic last week. Didn't offer a lot, but then you're not at Parkhead, it's going to be difficult. But I thought today they were a lot more compact. Whenever Livingston did get the ball, they pressed, they harried, they got in their faces. And I do like that Aberdeen front two of Majowski and Duke. I think they do cause problems. But I think for me, certainly if I'm Majowski, I've scored 17 goals this season. I'm a striker. I want that ball in the box early. Let me go and attack it. And I thought at times Aberdeen didn't get the ball in the box enough from out wide. And I think if they do that, they'll probably get more chances because Majowski will cause problems in the box. And Duke's really busy. Aberdeen are now sitting 6th. They're level on points with Livingston. That was a big game today. They're level on points with Livingston, but on goal difference, they're now in the top 6. And again, I'm looking at that kind of top 6 at the moment. And between, let's try to see it here. Let me see where I can go from here. Between 4th and 8th, there's only 6 points in it. It's very, very tight in there. Hibs are on 4th and 37 points. St Mirren are 5th and 37 points. Aberdeen 35 points. Livingston 35 points. And St Johnstone 31 points. It is so tight in that kind of middle part of the league. Or as I've heard a few folk call it, the glob, if they want to call it. It's very tight in there. And Aberdeen are right back in there now. And I think Barry Robson could take confidence from that because they were, although there wasn't much in it, they were the better side. It's not like they battered Livingston. They didn't create a lot of chances, but they looked a lot better. Now, I don't know if Barry Robson will get the job full time. I think there's absolutely no doubt he wants the job. He won't maybe say it in so many words, but he wants the job. He was interviewed after the game, and again, he's not giving a lot away, but I think he wants the job. And, you know, I'm not going to be biased as a Hearts fan here. Aberdeen are a big club. You know, they always have been. I know a lot of folks they live on their glories in the 80s and stuff, but they are a big club, Aberdeen. They've got a big support. They take big supports away from home. No doubt they'll take a massive support to Tannadice next week. And I said on Friday, and I think I said this last week as well, Dave Cormack needs to get the appointment right because if he panics, which at the moment he hasn't, but if he gets this next appointment wrong and Aberdeen finish the bottom 6, there's going to be serious questions asked. Now, I think it was maybe Paul Mitchell yesterday said that he would give Robson the job till the end of the season as an interim. Would that work? Would Aberdeen fans be happy with that? I think if they get performances like they did today and results that they did today, I think they probably will be. But again, a bit like Ross County and everyone else, you've got to build on that. And I think if they can build on that, then you never know, they could do okay. But that game next week is going to be massive against United. Aberdeen are going against a team that's lacking confidence. I think that's a really big game. And I do wonder, so I'm just checking something here actually. I do wonder if Aberdeen, if they will appoint Robson. It might not be a bad decision. I don't know. I'm not an Aberdeen fan, but at the moment it looks to me like the Aberdeen players are playing for Barry Robson, and that brings another thought to my head. These are the same players that were not playing under Jim Goodwin. So what was the issue under Goodwin? Did they not like his training? Did they not like his style? What is it they didn't like about him? Because, okay, they were beaten against Celtic last week, but that can happen because Celtic are the best team in the league. Why were they not playing for Jim Goodwin? Today, what I saw watching that was a team that had energy, had character, had leadership in Graham Shinney, and had players that were working hard for each other. And I've not seen that in an Aberdeen side for the last few weeks. Today was a lot better. They didn't create a lot, but I don't think you're going to care. If you're an Aberdeen fan, you've won the game. That's all that matters. You've won. So, yeah, I think Aberdeen today deserved to win. Wasn't the best of games, but they won't care. They're back in the top 6. For Livingston, it's now another defeat on the back of defeats against Rangers and in the Scottish Cup against Inverness. They haven't scored again, which is a massive worry for me. I still think David Martindale's a very good manager. I still think it's a good season so far. They are sitting 7th. Again, they're only 3 points. Sorry, 2 points off Hibs in 4th. So it's a long way to go yet. The split doesn't happen till April, so they could still easily catch up. But they've got to start winning games. Livingston play Hibs next week. That's going to be huge. That could be a massive game for not just Livingston, but Hibs as well. You know, Hibs have got designs to try and catch Hearts. Hopefully they don't. But then after that, they play Celtic and Rangers. So maybe I've got a chance that Hearts might still finish third. But yeah, that's a massive game. And as I've talked about before as well, and I don't want to be harsh. And I know a lot of folk don't mind it, but I personally, and a lot of folk have mentioned this as well, I personally don't like the plastic pitches. I think Hamilton in the Championship have got a decent pitch. I think Wraith have got a decent pitch. I don't think the plastic pitches in the Premiership are a great viewing for me. And how many times have you seen as well that certain players don't play on plastic pitches because they're worried about getting injuries? Now, I know you can get injured anywhere. You can get injured playing 5-a-side. You can get injured anywhere. But I'm just not a massive fan of the plastic pitches. Everyone's got their own opinions, and that's fine. That's what it's about. But I'm just not a massive fan of them. But I think that game next week, Livingston Hibs, is a huge game for both teams. At the moment, if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I'd probably tip Hibs. And I really hate saying that, but I would probably tip Hibs. I think they look a better side now. I think Eliu has been really good. I did notice today that Ryan Porteous scored for Sheffield United. It was their own goal. What a shame. But yeah, I'm not being harsh. But yeah, I mean, Hibs look a decent side now. And that could be a huge game next week. I'm not going to lie. It could be a huge game in the terms of getting that European place and catching Hearts. Hearts play St Johnstone at home next week, so hopefully that's not going to happen. But yeah, I think the final score actually in the England-Wales game today, it finished England 20, Wales 10 at Twickenham. So that game's finished. Win for England today. Yeah, and I think Livingston today, they didn't do enough for me. I thought Newbley and Anderson were nullified well by Aberdeen. Aberdeen defended very well. As I say, Gortsky and the Aberdeen goal had nothing to do. It was very comfortable for Aberdeen. Livingston, I think, they have had a good season. David Martindale, for me, is a very good manager, but today it just didn't happen for them. Maybe it's just one of these days. I'm trying to see if I can find comments, actually, but for some reason it's not coming up. Will it come up? No, nothing coming up here. So, yeah, a very decent win for Aberdeen. I'm back into the top 6. Let's go to, where will I go next? Let's go to McDermott Park, where St Mirren and St Johnstone, the battle of the Sainties, and they played that 1-1 draw. St Johnstone scored the opening goal after 75 minutes. Zach Rudden, who came off the bench 3 minutes earlier, had headed St Johnstone ahead. Alex Gogic equalised, surprisingly for Alex Gogic, not known for his goal scoring, but he levelled in the 85th minute. Now, the story of this game is the first half, it wasn't a great game, I'm not going to lie. It was a very scrappy first half. There wasn't a lot in the game. Stevie May probably could have scored earlier on. And then St Mirren through Ryan Strain tries to put a cross into the box, and it's not. It almost goes in. It nearly dips under the bar, but Matthews tips it over. But again, there wasn't a lot in the first half. It wasn't. I'm going to feel this as not a classic. But the kind of story of the game was a sending off in the first half of Daniel Phillips for St Johnstone, who was sent off just before. I think it was just before half time. And this is a difficult one because I've seen it back a couple of times, and I know that Callum Davis is not happy with the sending off. So I don't know how to explain this the best I can. So the ball is basically played to Daniel Phillips. He is trying to turn. He takes a touch. His touch gets away from him. He doesn't really see the attacking player coming in. I can't remember who it is actually, but he doesn't see the attacking player. I think it's Ryan Flynn. Sorry, he doesn't really see Ryan Flynn, so he tries to put his foot down to win the ball, and he catches Flynn on kind of just above his ankle. Now, at the time, the referee, who was Craig Napier, gave a yellow card, but the guy in the VR room, Stevie Wonder, I think, the guy in the VR room tells him to go and look at it for a potential red card. Craig Napier goes over, looks at it a couple of times, and gives the red card. Now, you would have to watch it again on TV. I think it was potentially harsh because I don't know what else Daniel Phillips can do. It's not malice. There's no malice in it. He's tried to win the ball. He's kind of on the turn, and he tries to put his foot down, and he does catch Flynn, but there's no malice in it. He's got to put his foot somewhere, and it's just unfortunate that it catches Flynn above his ankle. Now, some folk might look at this and say, but it's a potential ankle breaker. I'm not sure that's true. Now, I don't know if Azzelino's watching this tonight, because he normally does, a St Mirren fan. I don't know if he's watching this. If he can say it's a red card, he might disagree. But I think it's harsh. I think it is harsh. We've seen a lot of decisions this season that I really don't agree with, and this is another one for me. I'm just not sure there's a lot that Daniel Phillips can do. Now, Callum Davidson said that he doesn't think there's any point appealing it, because he doesn't think they'll win it, and I kind of agree. I have to be honest, I don't think they will. I'm just not sure. I think if you watch it again tonight on Sports and whatever you want to watch it on, look at that and say if it's a red card, because I genuinely don't think it is. I think it's very harsh. But in terms of the game, it didn't really make a lot of difference. St Mirren had quite a few chances in the second half. Probably should have won the game. Tony Watt had a couple of decent chances, but St Johnstone with 10 men get the goal. It's a good header for Zach Rudden. As I say, he came off the bench, scores 3 minutes later, a decent header. And you're thinking, how have St Johnstone managed to win this game? They're down to 10 men. But that kind of shows how good a job that Callum Davis has done, because you're talking about Liam Fox, and are these United players playing for him? These St Johnstone players definitely are. You can see that. To go down to 10 men and have the desire to not get beat, really, thrown bodies in the way. Against St Mirren, did have a few chances, but couldn't take them. They weren't clinical enough. And I think if you're Stephen Robertson, you're gutted that you've not only drawn the game, but you've not won it, because they had the chances to do it after a very, very poor first half display. But yeah, second half, Alec Gogic levels on the 85th minute. And again, I think a draw is probably fair from what I saw. I don't think either team, I think St Mirren maybe did shade it in terms of chances. But I think you've got to give credit to St Johnstone, because St Johnstone defended very well. And as I say, in the first half, there wasn't a lot in it. I think maybe Stevie May had a couple of decent chances, but apart from that, there wasn't much in it. And I didn't say this yesterday, maybe I should have done, because then folk will say, no, you're lying. I did think this game could finish a draw, because there's not really a lot between the two teams. I know that in terms of the league table, there is now, I think it's 6 points in it between them, but I don't think there's a lot between the two teams in general. And yeah, I thought a draw was probably fair. But I just think if you look at that red card tonight, or whenever you watch it, I'm just not convinced that the red card. And I know we have seen, I think it was this season, it was United potentially, I think, had a red card and they got overturned. Was it earlier on this season that Tony Watt played for United and he got a sending off and it got overturned? So you have seen them, you have seen these decisions get overturned, but I think if you watch that again tonight, I think Davidson's right, it probably wouldn't get overturned, but I think it is harsh, personally, from what I've seen. But maybe the referee's got a better angle than I do. I'm sure he probably does, because he's got about 25 different angles he can watch. But yeah, I thought today it wasn't a great game. A draw is probably fair, and fair play to St Johnstone. 10 men take the lead. They don't get beat. It's a massive result for Callum Davidson. Next up, St Johnstone play my beloved Hearts next week, so they've got no chance of getting out of that. No, I'm joking. Obviously, they've got a chance. Of course, you've got a chance. Hearts at the moment, I don't know. I don't know what to think, because we have only lost 2 out of the last 12 games. But that result of performing against Motherwell last week, and I said this maybe last week, was coming. I don't think the Hearts are actually playing that well, and we haven't put a 90-minute performance in. I'm hoping that'll change next week against St Johnstone. I'm hoping to go to that game if I can get a ticket. Tickets at 10 an hour like gold dust. So yeah, I think Hearts should win that game next week, but St Johnstone at the moment is it harsh to call them stuffy? Maybe it is, but I think they've got a decent backbone in that team. They've got a decent spine in that team. So it'll be a hard game for Hearts next week. I don't think a lot of folk will be expecting St Johnstone to win that, but you never know. You know, I keep saying this phrase that football's a funny old game, and it is. I wouldn't be surprised if St Johnstone gets something next week, but hopefully they don't. In terms of St Mirren, they are home to Celtic next Sunday. Now, I think the last time St Mirren played Celtic, they beat them 2-0 at St Mirren Park. So I think St Mirren will fancy this. I really do. And I think they've got a decent squad there. You know, Curtis Main, I think, has been a good sending for them. And if you're Stephen Robinson, you're looking forward to this game next week because you know you've already beaten Celtic. And even in the cup game against Celtic a few weeks ago, yes, it was 5-1, but the sending off had a massive impact on that game. I thought St Mirren competed well, and Michael said as well that he was actually quite pleased at the fact that St Mirren had a goal. And I think at home next week, I think St Mirren will do exactly the same thing. I don't think it'll be an easy game for Celtic. I think Celtic will win because of the quality they've got, but you just never know. Football works differently. So, yeah, I mean, a big game for St Mirren next week, a big game for Celtic as well. But I do think with Celtic's quality, and I don't think it'll matter what happens tomorrow in that big game, which I'll talk about in a minute. I think Celtic have got too much quality, too much strength and depth, and I think they'll win that game next week. But yeah, a decent point for both St Mirren and St Johnstone. I don't think either manager will be too disappointed with that, given the way the game worked out. But I just keep going back to this, that I don't think that's a red card for Daniel Phillips, and I can see why Callum Davidson is frustrated. But the last game I'm going to talk about is Kilmarnock against Motherwell. Kilmarnock won, Motherwell won. Scott Robinson put Kilmarnock ahead on 17 minutes. And a wonderful, if you've not seen it, watch it again later on. Free kick from Callum Slattery. Top corner, as they call it, top bins. Fantastic goal in the last minute. And I think this, for me, was a game of two halves. Kilmarnock first half were excellent, created numerous chances. Christian Deutsch and Ronnie McKenzie had really, really good chances to really put the game to bed, but they didn't take them. Motherwell, you know, since the appointment of Stephen Stuart Kettle as new manager, I thought first half they were very poor, very lethargic. And you're thinking, maybe the new manager bounce hasn't worked after all. But to be fair to Stuart Kettlewell, second half, they were the far better side. And Sam Walker in the Kilmarnock goal got man of the match, understandably, because he made great saves from John Obika, James Furlong, Kevin Van Veen, Stephen O'Donnell. So Motherwell, the far better team second half. And whatever Stuart Kettlewell said at half-time worked because they were the far, far better side. And Derek McInnes will be delighted that Kilmarnock have managed to get a draw out of that game. Because first half, as I said, Kilmarnock were the better side, but second half there was a switch. I don't know what Stuart Kettlewell did, but there was a switch. And they created a lot more problems for Kilmarnock. I think, again, is a draw the fair result? Based on the second half, I'm going to say I think Motherwell probably deserved to edge it. But they'll be delighted because they've managed to get a draw in the last minute with honestly, this free kick is brilliant. It's probably about 25, 26 yards out. And I think for me, again, I'm not a goalkeeper, but I'm looking at Sam Walker's positioning. Sam Walker positioned themselves mainly to the right to release a big gap on the left. And Callum Slattery can't take this any better. Over the wall, into the top corner. Sam Walker dives for it, but he's getting nowhere near it. It's a wonderful free kick, wonderful execution. And I think a draw for me, in the end, Motherwell delighted with that. And Stuart Kettlewell, he's now had 3 games since he's been interim manager and now permanent manager, and he's not lost. He'll be delighted with that. I think that was a massive, massive win. He's now picked up a really good point away from home. But again, they've got to build on that now. And their next game, they are away to Ross County next week, as I spoke about earlier. That's going to be a huge game. Motherwell, I said this weeks ago that I thought Motherwell could be in trouble. I'm still not sure yet. I still think there is deficiencies in that Motherwell side. But I think Stuart Kettlewell becoming a new manager gives us stability. And it's quite funny because at 1-0 down today, one of our colleagues, James, put in the group chat, does that mean that Stuart Kettlewell is going to get sat there if they lose this game? Which I thought was quite funny. But yeah, I mean, it's a big result for Motherwell. Really, really good result for Motherwell. A really good point for them. And I think for Derek McInnes, again, Kilmarnock, I'm never sure about them. I really don't want to think about Kilmarnock because, again, like a lot of teams in this league, and I've just talked about the Glob earlier in the middle part of that league, they're a very frustrating side. You don't know what you're going to get from one week to another. McInnes is a very experienced manager, but they are 4 points ahead of bottom place United. I'm going to stick my neck out and going to say I think Kilmarnock will finish second bottom, so they'll be in that playoff place. Will Kilmarnock go down? I don't know. It would depend on who they play in the playoff and the Championship, because I keep saying that the Championship for me is one of the best leagues that I've seen. It's just so competitive, and anybody can beat anyone. And I think anyone could give Kilmarnock a good game. So it's a difficult league, but I do think Kilmarnock, for me, I'm just not sure. I don't know if they've got enough about them to stay up. I don't think they've got enough going forward for me. I know they let Kyle Lafferty go, which was a surprise to me and a lot of other folk. But that was a huge, huge point for both teams today. And it doesn't really do either from any favours. So for anyone that didn't listen earlier on, I'll give you the league table again. Topper Celtic are 73 points. Second are Rangers on 64 points. Third are Hearts on 42 points. Fourth are Hibs on 37 points. Just ahead of St Mirren in fifth on 37 points. Aberdeen are sixth on 35 points. Livingston are seventh on 35 points. St Johnstone are eighth on 31 points. Motherwell are ninth on 27 points. Ross County are 10th on 24 points. Kilmarnock are also on 24 points. They're in 11th. And Dundee United head up the rear on 20 points and looking very much like the team that's going to go down for me. And I don't think anyone else could disagree with that, because I don't see where the win's coming from them. The game's next weekend. 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. Hearts take on St Johnstone at Tynecastle. Livingston play Hibernian at the Tony Macaroni. At Ibrox, it's Rangers against Kilmarnock. In Dingwall, it's Ross County and Motherwell. At Tannadice, United against Aberdeen. And in Paisley, it is St Mirren against Celtic at 12 o'clock on the Sunday. I'll do this next Friday as well, by the way, but I'm just going to do this now because I've got 30 minutes left and I kind of feel like I want to. So I'm going to say what I think will happen next week, and I'll repeat this again next Friday as well. Hearts against St Johnstone. I'm going to go Hearts 3, St Johnstone 1. I don't think Hearts will give a clean sheet. I think St Johnstone will score, and I think Stevie May will score. But I think Hearts at home should have enough to win this game. And I think Lawrence Shankland will get back him on the goals next week if he plays up front, because they've played so deep he's nearly pinning goals. But I think Hearts 3, St Johnstone 1. Livingston against Hibs. I did say I think Hibs will win this game, and I think they will, but it'll be tight. And I don't think Livingston will score again, which will be a worry for Martindale. I'm going to go Livingston 0, Hibs 2 next week. Rangers Kilmarnock. I can't see anything else for the Rangers win here. And Kilmarnock's away record is not good. I'm going to go Rangers 4, Kilmarnock 0 for this game. Ross County Motherwell. This is a hard game to call this, because I think Ross County at home are a very good side, and they've got players now that are scoring goals for them. Motherwell, 3 games undefeated under Stuart Kettlewell. He will be looking to try and get something next week. But I'm going to go for a County win, and I'm going to go Ross County 2, Motherwell 1 for this game. Tight game, but I just think Ross County have got a bit of momentum now after this win today, although it's against United, who are awful, let's be honest. And United against Aberdeen. How do you call this? As I said, the last time these two teams met in Tannadice, United won 4-0. I don't think that'll happen this time. I think Aberdeen today, as I said, they were decent. They weren't great, but they were decent. And the whole away record's not great. But if any Aberdeen fans are watching this, I'm going to go for your team to win this game. I'm going to go Dundee United 0, Aberdeen 1. I think it'll be tight. There won't be many goals in this, but I think Aberdeen might just sneak it. St Mirren Celtic on a Sunday. Again, it's a hard game, because St Mirren at home are a good side. They don't lose a lot of games. The last time they played at home, they lost to Hibs, but again, I thought they were all right in that game. But I just think that Celtic have got too much quality for me to win this game. I think the quality they've got off the bench is too much. And I'm going to go for Celtic to win this game. I'm going to go St Mirren 1, Celtic 3. So that's my prediction for next week. We've got 10 minutes to go. I'm going to nip into the Championship and get the league table up. I should have had this up earlier on, but I am I'm losing the league table here. So today in the Championship, I did give you the scores earlier on, but I'll give them again. Arbroath 0, Partick Thistle 0, Dundee 1, Inverness 1, Greenock Morton 2, Cove 1, and Hamilton 1, Queen's Park 4. The table in the Championship looks like this. Queen's Park are top on 47 points. Dundee are second on 43 points. Ayr are third on 40 points. Morton are fourth on 40 points. Partick Thistle are fifth on 37 points. Raith Rovers are sixth on 35 points. Inverness are seventh on 33 points. Cove are eighth on 26 points. Hamilton are off the bottom of the league. They are on 24 points in ninth. And Dick Campbell's Arbroath, who were fighting for the title last year, bottom of the league, 23 points. The top of that league is so good. Queen's Park, 4 points ahead of Dundee. It's so tight to call. I've said this before as well. I am fully backing Queen's Park to come up. I think it'd be a great story if they come up. Again, I mentioned earlier on, probably previous shows, that I was fully behind the whole Gretna story. I thought it was great. It was a fairy tale. I know a lot of folks say that it was poor the way they did it because they basically were funded by Brooks Milson. They came up all through the leagues and they poured money at it. But you know what? I thought it was a great story. They played Hearts in the Scottish Cup final, and I don't know if anyone watched this, but yesterday on Sports Scene, they showed the highlights of that Hearts Gretna Cup final, which I hated every second of, because I genuinely thought, like most Hearts fans did, that Hearts would win that game comfortably, and we didn't. We got taken to penalties, and unfortunately for Gavin Skelton, he missed the deciding penalty. But yeah, I thought it was a great story. And if Queen's Park come up, I think it'll be fantastic. I really do. I would love to see Queen's Park in the top league, playing against Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen. What a story it would be. And there's no reason they can't come up. And if they can keep this going, and there's no reason they can't, it would be fantastic. I think Dundee for me are a Premier League side. And I'm going to say this again, and I might have mentioned this again on previous shows. I think they missed a trick not expanding the league. Now, I know I'm being biased here as a Hearts fan, but when this whole thing of COVID came in, I thought they should have extended the league. I thought they should have had a reconstruction, make it a 16 or 18 team league, because I would love to see, like, Dundee back in the league. I would love to see Ayr in the league. I'd love to see Queen's Park in the league. I honestly believe that extending the league would be a lot better, because you do get stale. You do get bored playing the same teams 4 times a season, potentially 5 or even 6 if you get them both the cups. I think it does get stale. I would love to see the league get extended. I know it's not going to happen under the leadership we've got just now because they couldn't organise a bleep in a brewery. But I genuinely think it would be great if they extended the league and invited these teams in. And I am backing Queen's Park to come up. It would be great if Queen's Park get promoted. I think it would be fantastic if they come up. And there's no reason they can't. No reason they can't come up. And if they do, it'll be a wonderful, wonderful story. It really would be. So I am fully backing Queen's Park to come up. And that Championship, and that's what I said earlier on, when I said that Mark Ogden, the United owner, said that it doesn't matter if you need to go down because they'll come straight back up. Really. Ayr United, Morton, Partick, Raith, Inverness, Hamilton, Arbroath. You think you're coming straight back up out of that league? Think again, pal. It's a hard league. So yeah, that's the Championship. I've got 5 minutes left. Thank you for everyone that's tuned in today. Again, I say this all the time. We really appreciate all the support we get. Now, I did have a comment a couple of days ago when I put this together about tomorrow's show being the Celtic Rangers show, and somebody said, why is Independence Live doing this? Now, this is not a political show, but we do this free of charge. We don't do this for any money. We do this for the love of the game. And we do this because we love sport. And the reason that we're doing this show tomorrow is because we've got a lot of Celtic fans, a lot of Rangers fans, a lot of sports fans that want to watch this. Now, you don't want to watch it, that's fine. I don't care. You do whatever you want. But for me, we do a lot of shows on Independence Live that are not Independence Live related. We do a lot of shows that cover a lot of different things because a lot of people have different loves. They have different passions. They like different things. We love, and me particularly, love doing a sports show. That's why we do these shows. If you don't like the show, that's fine. If you don't like what we're doing, that's fine. Don't watch. I don't really care. We love doing these shows, and we'll keep doing them and keep putting out the product we do. Comments like that about why we're doing this show tomorrow, we're doing it because we're a sports show. We cater to sports fans. That's why we're doing it. If you don't like it, don't watch. But tomorrow, we are doing a Celtic Rangers Viaplay Cup final reaction. We're going to have a couple of guests on tomorrow. Alan Morrison from Celtic by Numbers and Scott McPike, who's a Rangers fan. I am doing the show tomorrow. You lucky, lucky lot. 3 days in a row. Aren't you so lucky? I should be so lucky. Sorry, I'm going off topic. But yeah, I just think that tomorrow's going to be a really good show. Hopefully, we're on from 5 till 6. Next Friday, we're back on the normal time of 5 till 7. And then the Sunday show will be on 3 till 5. I'm trying to keep track of what we're doing here. And also next month, there will be Scotland shows coming up because Scotland play Spain and Cyprus. We will have special shows for both those games after the games. Scotland, Spain, what a game that could be at Hampden Park. Looking forward to those games. But yeah, so tomorrow we are on from 5 till 6. So I really hope this game doesn't go to extra time. We'll be doing extra time as well. But I'm hosting tomorrow because Michael is away. So I think tomorrow for me, it's the first cup final of the season. Celtic against Rangers. It's a massive, massive game. Ange Postecoglou Celtic looking to retain the trophy they won last season. Michael Beale looking to win his first trophy as Rangers manager. Now, I personally, as an outsider looking in, think the Celtic will win this game. I think I said maybe on Friday they'll win this game 2-1, I think. They'll win it in normal time, but it's a big, big game. It is a really big game. I just think that Celtic's quality and the subs that they can bring on is going to be far too much for Rangers. I think there's no doubt Rangers have improved under Michael Beale. I think you're seeing performances like guys like Ryan Kent. I think Morelos looks a bit better than he was before. So it's a big game for both. And I said this on Friday as well. I just hope this game is not decided on a VAR decision because I think it's going to be boring if it is. Because all you'll get is fans that argue about, oh, that was never this or that was never that. And I want this game to be decided on who's the best team, on who plays the better football, and who deserves to win it. And I think that'll be Celtic. But if Rangers win the game, it wouldn't surprise me either because they have improved under Michael Beale. There's no doubt about that. But I do think that Celtic will just have enough quality to win this game. And I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good game, actually. Some comments here from a couple of the folk on my page here. Are you getting bored yet, Graham? Michael one-man band. No, but everyone else is. That's harsh, James, to say everyone else is. But yeah, it's a big, big game tomorrow. I think it is going to be won by Celtic. And I'm going to say now the goal scorers tomorrow, Celtic will win 2-1. And I'm going to say Kyogo will get Celtic's first. Rangers will equalise through Morelos. Celtic win the game. And I think it will be Daison Maeda will get the winner. Because I think actually Maeda's been very good for Celtic recently. So that wouldn't surprise me if he scored the winning goal tomorrow. And I think I'm just hoping it's a good game. I hope it's a good game of football. I hope both sets of fans enjoy it and there's no trouble after the game. And as I say, I hope this game is not decided by VAR. That's the one thing I don't want. Don't be decided by a really poor VAR decision because this season for me has been ruined a bit by the referees and those folk in those little VAR rooms that make really stupid decisions. And again, we've got 50 seconds left. So again, I say this all the time, but I will say it again. It is much appreciated to everyone that joins us, everyone that tunes in, everyone that comments. There's been no comments today, but I'm not surprised because it's Saturday night and you're probably getting hammered, as I wish I was. But yeah, a really good show tonight. I really enjoyed doing this hour. A bit of a spontaneous one tonight because I did want to get other teams other than Celtic and Rangers because their game's tomorrow. So yeah, we are back tomorrow, or I am, from 5 till 6 to do the Viaplay Cup final between Celtic and Rangers. We'll be joined by Alan Morrison and Scott McPike, and I think Dave's coming on tomorrow as well. So thank you again to everyone that's joined me. We shall see you tomorrow from 5, and again next Friday we'll see you at 5 till 7. Bye-bye.